Jeff, tell us a bit about your mockumentary, Pittsburgh.
Let me tell you a bit about my movie Pittsburgh. Some call it a mockumentary. One newspaper said it was that we'd invented a whole new genre called the bio-mock.
Pittsburgh skates the line between acting and reality. How thin of a line was that in doing this project and the way you portrayed yourself?
That's an interesting question. How thin a line was it between reality and fiction? Well, it was an experiment, And, I loved those movies of John Cassavetes, where he cast, his wife and his wife's parents, non-actors sometimes. I'm reading this book about Elia Kazan right now, and they did kind of what they called semi-documentaries, sometimes re-dramatizing real events and using non-actors to recreate their own real-life jobs. But essentially, I play this character, Jeff Goldblum, kind of a parallel universe, fictional version of Jeff Goldblum, like Larry David, I guess, or John Malkovich did in that movie, stuff like that. And there were totally made-up things that we improvised, like I suppose they do in those Chris Guest movies, and then there were real things that were made use of in the movie. So it's a kind of a melange, or a compote, or a gumbo, or a paella.
What was it like filming in the documentary format? Did it come more naturally than when playing a role in a movie?
Can't work this way. All right, yes. Let's see. Well, it was fascinating. I loved making this movie. The directors were Chris Bradley and Kyle LaBrache. And they had only done documentaries before, but they wanted to do something fictional. And this is essentially, let's call it fictional, but the way they filmed was kind of like a documentary, so that we could be very free and improvise and go where we want and be acting with people who were not necessarily knowing that they were acting and just going about their real lives, and so that we could engage ourselves in real activities at the same time. And real life could be caught along with this kind of fiction that we were making up. And the way they shot was with two cameras at the same time, very kind of inconspicuously, and a little body mic usually, and that's about it. So for all the world, you wouldn't know that we were doing anything. It was very freeing. It was very exciting. We never did more than one take. It was kind of like we documented what happened, however it happened, and it was thrilling.
And what was it like performing The Music Man in your hometown?
Well, I liked it. What was it like being in The Music Man in my hometown? Well, I like to be mysterious about whether we really did the show, or what aspects of the movie are, made up, and which coincided, and which with real events, and which really happened. I think it's fun for people to see the movie and not know at first, and be sort of mysteriously intrigued by it. And then if they get the DVD, there's a commentary, if they watch it the second time through, an audio commentary by Chris Bradley and Kyle LaBrache, and they'll tell you exactly what's real and what's not. So, but I don't know, should I let you know that in fact I did there was a show that I did, after a manner of speaking, in Pittsburgh, of The Music Man, and it was thrilling. I've done a musical or two, had a little experience with that, mostly movies, and just straight movies throughout my career. So it was very challenging, and it was only 6 days rehearsal, like they do in some of those regional theater kind of things. That's a big, demanding part. It was very challenging. Very, very challenging, but kind of thrilling. And I knew I was doing it for the sake of this movie, so I had this kind of idea about what we were trying to accomplish. So it was the most fun I've ever had, frankly.
And can we look forward to more stage performances from you in the future?
Look forward to more stage performances. Well, I love the stage. I just did a year or so ago, as you know, this play called The Pillow Man. No music in it, no singing in it, but it was an electrifying play by Martin McDonough. And it had a successful run. Me and Billy Crudup and Jelko Ivanek and Michael Stuhlbarg. We did it for 6 months. Let me see. I wouldn't mind. I have no plans to do anything else right now, but I wouldn't mind it. I tell you, I like the live theater. I'm going to see a play tonight. I love being in the theater. I love it as a consumer and as a practitioner.
And tell us about your current work in Adam Resurrected, and how you prepared for such a role.
Well, I'm so glad you asked. Yeah, I did this movie called Adam Resurrected that comes out next year. I'm just, in fact, we catch me now on the moment and the day that I'm going to see it for the first time. Kind of a rough cut of it with the director Paul Schrader in like an hour or so. It was the most challenging part I think I've ever played. I researched it for the better part of a year. Luckily, I knew I was going to do it a year before. It was life-changing, I could say. It's a very serious movie. Paul Schrader, as you know, is a road-raging bull and taxi driver in The Last Temptation of Christ. He directed Affliction and Autofocus and American Gigolo. What's it called? American Gigolo.
Yeah.
With Richard Gere, yeah. And many other things. He's a brilliant guy, kind of a genius. It's about, he likes to describe the movie as a story about a man who was once a dog, that's my character, who meets a dog who was once a boy. Literally, it's about events that take place in 1962 in Israel, in a mental institution, a rehabilitation center exclusively for concentration camp survivors, of which I'm the ringleader and kind of central figure, trying to heal myself. And so the research that you asked about was extensive. I did for a year, although there are people I met who have devoted their whole lives to studying the events of the Holocaust, which this movie has something to do with. So a year was barely enough to scratch the surface, really, but I went to Germany for a month, went to Poland and visited Majdanek, a concentration camp that's still apparently the most intact. Very powerful experience. I talked to survivors in Los Angeles, went to Israel for the first time, where we shot some of the movie, and then we shot a lot of it in Romania too. And then read as much as I could. Talked to Michael Berenbaum, who did some consultation on Sophie's Choice and designed, is a world-renowned authority on events of the Holocaust, and talked to him about the script. He read the script, kind of helped me with it a little, and he turned me on to some reading that I wouldn't have otherwise gotten to. That was very important. It was amazing for me.
And what about the jazz trio? Is there a CD in the future?
There's no, it's not a trio. We call ourselves the Mildred Snitzer Orchestra, Mildred Snitzer Orchestra. And there are generally 5 of us, but it's a rotating credit. It's a hobby of mine, but I play with good musicians. We play whenever I'm not working in L.A., you know, here and there. We have a gig coming up in a couple of weeks. And a CD, no, you know, it's a hobby for me, and people have approached us to do that, but no plans to do that. It's just you got to catch us when you catch us.
That's it.
Thank you. We did it. Well done.